So they added a new attachment into Warzone that broke the meta. In today's aim training, I'm going to show you how the buffer weight stock can be utilized to fry your enemies. But before I give you the loadouts and recoil training, we're going to be breaking down this weapon build in-game so you can see how positioning and pre-aiming can set you up to delete players on Rebirth Island. We're going to go over tracking, aim assist, and recoil management in an actual game. Then I'll show you my attachment builds for both the XM4 and the Jackal PDW so you can start dropping high kill wins for yourself. If you like never-ending guides to up your Warzone game, then smash the like button and subscribe for more. Let's get into the Season 1 meta breakdown. One of the very first things that we need to talk about today in the aim training, and really the first step to pre-aiming, is good centering. I can't stress it enough that if you're not in the center of the screen and you're not pre-aiming hotspots where enemies are likely to come from, you're at a severe disadvantage for when they actually do. You don't want to be looking at the floor when you're pushing a building or when you're walking up to an open area. We want to be looking at doorways and high elevation points where you are sure that there are enemies frequently checking. And you're going to check those by putting your crosshairs on the area prior to seeing an enemy. It gives you the ability to lock on when they appear. Just like in this instance, I know I have gunshots and audio cues and pings all on prison, and then they start to become visible. And then I can easily start to engage them, multiple targets from the safety of cover. Now the next step is learning the recoil of each weapon, and what sets meta weapons apart is they're generally low recoil builds that people have mastered over time, and then they've customized them to their playstyle. So if you find yourself to be a more of an aggressive player, you're going to have a more fast handling build, and if you are more of a long-range shooter, you're going to have a higher accuracy. Most meta builds are going to have a balance of both of these attributes. Learning to utilize the correct weapon for the correct fight is the next issue. Is when you're engaging enemies from far, you're going to want to use a longer range weapon. When you're engaging enemies close, you're going to use your SMG or a pistol or your shotgun to take care of that. The next thing to do is to manage your reloads, and most importantly, how you're managing your ammunition versus your escape route in each firefight. If you have a 60-round mag and you are constantly COD reloading, which is a problem that I still have very often, is after you drop an enemy, you don't need to immediately reload that weapon. There are likely still half a magazine that you can engage the second or third teammate, which is very common with the new Omni movement that's come into the game right now. And the ability of experienced players to stack or react to that first player going down, you absolutely need to have the remainder of that magazine. So focusing on those attributes is one of the core ways to start with aim training, but where it starts to become a little bit more unique is managing your weapon's ability in various scenarios. The farther you are, the longer it's going to take to kill your target, and the more wiggle room they have. And if they're moving side to side, say on a fly-in, or if they're running horizontally across the screen, like in this scenario, we need to be able to track them as they run by. The farther you are, the more you need to lead your target. In medium range fights, you can fire directly on the target and maintain your aim by pulling down on the right stick. Now, meta loadouts are not going to have a lot of recoil. In fact, with this buffer weight stock that it is right now, it's cutting it in half in some situations with your recoil gun kick, and more than half for your horizontal recoil. And like we saw at the beginning of the video, that arch that goes over to the right is one of the harder things to control. So if we use the right attachments to minimize that horizontal recoil, and then we are lessening the vertical recoil by pulling down on the right stick, that is what gives you the laser-like aim that you see in experienced players. So utilizing that and practicing that with the weapon that you are deciding that you're most comfortable with is what's going to inevitably lead to you mastering the weapon. The final caveat of this skill set is prediction and setting yourself up in cover to take on enemies from protection and then predict where they're going to move. If you're shooting them from the left, they're going to escape to the right. If they're high, they're likely going to get low. Utilizing the position to set yourself up and open those shots. Another thing that I've talked about a lot in my videos is about we want to be opening fire on an enemy that we have the potential to kill. Wasting ammo, breaking them, is giving them an alert. They're likely not going to continue their push. They're going to divert, which is going to make it harder for you. So try to conserve your ammo and utilize it in the most strategic way possible. In this scenario here, we're executing a hold on chemical. I'm utilizing the cover to scramble their departure. I'm sitting on a precision airstreak, and I'm also breaking plates while shifting in and out of cover from that secondary sniper. We need to be utilizing those methods when we're engaging multiple enemies or from a bad position. Now we're going to hold back off of that precision and then use fire on the lateral player that's tracking off towards the water. In this scenario, we're holding the buy station. It's the last one in zone. We are restocking with our ammo, and then we're immediately going back to put up a UAV so that we have intel. We're also utilizing the pings that we get from teammates so that we know where to pre-fire in those scenarios. Notice that in each one of these firefights, and actually in all the firefights in my videos, you'll see a lot of sidestepping left and right with the movement stick while aiming. That activates that rotational aim assist and makes it easier for you to track that target. That lets you focus on the aiming with the recoil control by pulling down in the appropriate direction of the recoil pattern to counter that vertical and sideways slanted recoil. If you roll all of these skill sets into one and you mix it with something like the buffer weight stock on a meta weapon, you will absolutely fry with it. Abuse that aim assist, pull down on that right stick, use every possible aspect of the game through cover, intel, and communication so that you can continue to get on target and stay there. Practice every day in the firing range, learn your recoil pattern, and make it muscle memory for the weapon that you plan on using. It is not that difficult in time to see small improvements. If you're not staying on target, then you need to lower your sensitivity. If there is no sense in having high sensitivity if you can't stay on target. Most importantly, your game sense is absolutely critical in hitting your shots, because if you have the best aim in the world, the best movement in the world, but you're in the wrong spot, you're going to lose every time. So let's get into the aim training. The XM4 has a up and to the right harsh hook. As soon as you put on the suppressor, the reinforced barrel, and the buffer weight stock, you can really pull down on that right stick because it will keep a very nice and tight grouping. It will take some practice, but that right hook is much smaller and it's almost all vertical, and then you pull down and slightly to the left to compensate for that up and to the right. Practice this every day for just a few minutes before you go into a match, and before you know it, you'll be hitting targets just like this. With the Jackal, we have a very similar up and to the right hook, and you can achieve the same results by pulling down and to the left. Now with rotational aim assist, you're going to get some help staying on target with both of these. It's going to be more apparent in your close range fights, but continue to practice all of the skills that we've talked about in this video. Here's the loadout for the XM4, as well as the loadout for the Jackal PDW. As always, if you guys learned something, don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep building, keep adapting. SitRep out.